Good morning and welcome back to me going over my Aegis videos. Some context for this one. This actually happened after Worlds. This was rescheduled for like yesterday as of recording this, which was the day after Worlds. And if you remember Pixelet, we fought Pixelet in week 2. And I actually fought Pixelet again in like another tournament for practicing for Worlds. And so this is like our round 3 against each other. We've got like a little bit of a history going on. And we're just running the same Gwencat Jax Vayne super action lineup that you are intimately familiar with at this point. I don't remember what picks that was running. I didn't really care. The only part that I cared about was that if I win this, I have a 9-1 record in Aegis Esports, which is 2 above the second highest person who has 7-1, I think. Or maybe 7-2, and Cephalopod just hasn't played their last game as of recording this. They've got Any Gwen Katarina, Deep, and Kindred Nasus. We decided to ban Any Gwen Katarina. It's a toss-up between Any Gwen Katarina and Kindred Nasus, I think. But based on us being able to defeat Thresh Nasus like 2 days prior, I felt pretty fine with it. And in addition, Any Gwen Katarina was running stuff like House Spider and Gwen, and if they stabilize, it can be really difficult. It was like a Catalog Conservatory deck. But we've got Deep and Jax Vayne, and if you remember me playing Jax Vayne against Deep against Gref, I do not have a good history. And if you remember that game, something very similar happened in this game. And I think that's very funny. I think I asked myself if I want to keep Aegis or not. I decided to keep Aegis. Aegis is like a really slow weapon to be keeping. This 2 mana +1/+1 is not great against Deep, which is a deck that you really want to be racing down. But I decided to keep Aegis because I've definitely had situations where I've drawn weapons, stuff that synergizes with weapons such as Harpy, and it's just like not been going through. But they play the Dredges here. They toss honestly 3 really big cards for them, and what they toss is important. Like when you're playing against this, like keeping in mind what they've tossed. And I think this matchup definitely requires me thinking about what they've tossed. They lost the Lifesteal unit, Sea Scarab, which is great for us that they lost that, as well as Ivaka Kiboras, which I think they run as a tour, which is something that I remember thinking about quite a bit. They get their attack, we don't block because we might be playing Aegis on the 2-1 to protect it from like Isle Feast and stuff, because we don't draw very big units. It's important for us to do that. However, we did draw a big unit. That being said, still for curvy reasons, the 2-2 doesn't matter as much, and being able to use this later on to trade into stuff like Sea Scarab and Deadbloom Wanderer is like pretty valuable. Despite them having already tossed 1 of each. They do this block, which is pretty great for us. Now, I think they're running Heavy Metal in this deck, so I thought maybe this is trying to serve the Heavy Metal. Obviously, Heavy Metal, they can just cast it anyway. It would have worked, but I don't know. I don't think that block was technically that good for them, especially if they're going to play Deadbloom Wanderer here. Like, they can heal. I got a question of Elkin, Hookmaster, or Vayne. Elkin Hookmaster allows us to go wider, but Vayne can allow us to play Tumble on the Ranger Knight Defector, and it is difficult for them to kill Ranger Knight Defector. So I end up playing Vayne, kind of for that reason, right? There's a good chance we might want to be playing Tumble on the turn after if they don't kill Ranger Knight Defector on our turn 4. Especially since we can just pull Deadbloom Wanderer to the side. So I felt pretty good about my position at the moment, especially since they're at full HP with the Deadbloom Wanderer, that we can like manipulate the way that lifesteal works and make them not get very good lifesteal trades. That being said, they are at a lot of HP, and Deep just wants to survive long into the game. The Scout is better than like the 2-2 into the Weapon Master, especially since we can develop it and then get it into the thing. Now they played 2 Deadbloom Wanderers. They played all 3 Deadbloom Wanderers. I have not been focusing on what they've tossed. I remember focusing on it in game, but you can't see LOL Master Tracker, which keeps track of the cards that they've played. So I'm just going to not focus on that for the recording. So much for a VOD review where I try and at least conceptually pretend that I'm like being really competitive here. Now, they're wasting 5 lifesteal right now. I could not care less. They lost another Ivana Kikaboras, a Vile Feast, and a Devourer, which are all great things for them to be losing for us. We're really happy to see that, especially Devourer and Ivana Kikaboras. I mean, like, all of those things are really good because they're all, like, excess defense, right? Like, the Devourer fish can destroy something, and the other 2 things destroy a unit and create something, or create something, right? We just end up going wide here now that we can. We'll let them draw a card, but that's okay by me. That's me checking their toss. I think they're pretty close to Deep at this point. I think here I take Fisherwhack because Handful and Amulet doesn't matter once they're deep. And they've lost a fair few Vile Feasts, is my reasoning for Fisherwhack from memory. Like, they've lost at least one Vile Feast, and they may have lost the second one when I wasn't paying attention to the tossed cards. I've got the option to tumble. Like, we can tumble a weapon onto the Vein, put some damage on, and get the second tumble coming up, as well as try and level up our Vein. If we want to tumble the Darken Aegis on Vein, which I think was I was definitely considering, especially since, like, we may not be playing Jural anytime soon, considering we've got another unit in hand, and we're getting another tumble, and we've got Concerted and Fishfight for other, like, interaction pieces in case we don't need Jural. I hope I'm not speaking too quickly, and I hope I'm speaking audibly. Sometimes I fear that I mumble my words and that I think I'm speaking good words, when in reality I'm not, like Arius from that one, like, Cthulhu's poem. We attack here, open attack. We don't want to be Devour Fish. And it allows us to level up Vein, sort of guaranteed. Yeah, I think base level up is pretty guaranteed anyway. They end up having second Undergrowth from memory, which I think levels up their, yeah, they go deep. They lose 3 cards with the little, like, lose 3 cards icon. But they go deep. And I consider Concerted Striking, but I decide not to because I think I wanted to Concerted Strike a Devour Fish. And the extra HP that Vein has sort of doesn't matter because I think that's their second and final Undergrowth. They lose Atrocity and Riptide, which are both one-ofs, and I was really happy to see that they lost Atro and Riptide there. From memory, we just play the Weapon Masters and attempt to go wide here. They play Sea Scarab, which is just like a big unit for them. Pretty sure I'm just deciding if I want to tumble this turn or not, and I decide that tumbling doesn't accomplish very much, so I may as well just play Combat Cook and let tumble go to a 0 mat. That's my memory of this event. Right, we've also got the option to Fish Fight. That's another option that we definitely have. From memory, we take Pixelet. Now there's an option to take the other weapon so that we can Fish Fight and kill the Sea Scarab. But I end up deciding not to go for that. Thinking that Quick Attack can be a decent priority because we can put it on the Vein. It makes Vein have 6 strength and trade into most of the deep units. And it also, like, it doesn't waste Forge as much. They quiet us to kill our Vein, or to kill the Jural, I mean. Which is understandable. And I play Fish Fight here. Now this Fish Fight, I wanted to do so that I'm not too low on HP and they're not drawing cards. Like, there's a chance that we outvalue them if they don't have Nautilus, right? If they don't have Nautilus and they don't have, like, a good draw, like, they lost both of their, like, Ainaka as we saw. Like, they don't have very good draw. So if they don't play Nautilus here, we can try and, like, go a little bit awkward and wide, especially since they haven't got any way of cheapening their things. Like, they haven't played Lure of the Depths. But there is one reason why this Fish Fight may have been wrong. And it's Devourer. And if you remember the last video, last time I played against Steve, I Concerted Strike to Devourer and didn't kill it. Because I didn't play Catch. And when I was watching this, I was like, I still don't have Catch. And at least last time I could have played Catch, and this time I couldn't have. I thought that was really funny. I decided to keep Vein around because Tumble is important, especially since we can put the weapon on the Vein. And, like, force them to continue repeatedly blocking. Right? As well as put an extra HP just in case they top pick their last Vile piece. And I thought this was pretty powerful. It allows us to consistently attack with the Vein, considering we're going to get a free Vein every turn. And because they didn't play Nautilus, even though I think they would have if they could have. Like, I know that if they play Nautilus, they wouldn't be able to play another sea monster, but having the 13/13 would be pretty powerful for them. I felt pretty decent about our position here. Especially since if they block like this, which is a good block for them because they're protecting health and they're 5, 6 and trading to other things, we can actually see like what they're going to be losing consistently. That's pretty valuable. Like, they've got 12 cards left. They've lost a Lure of the Depths. Fantastic. They're fantastic. They can't draw another sea monster. I question whether I want to lose my Vein here. To allow us to go wide. I think I decided not to because the tumbles seem really important to me. Especially since, like, we can still attack with a Vayne, right? Like, we can do an attack here with a Vayne. And because we get the Broadwing, even if they play Nautilus, we're not too upset, right? Like, if they play Nautilus, we got the thing. But then we get Parts Made Whole, which is just, like, an absolutely insane top deck. It allows us to put Challenger on our dude and go for lethal. So Parts Made Whole was, like, a fantastic top deck. We put Challenger on our Broadwing, and I think we just win. I think they did top deck Vile Feast. Yeah, that's my memory. They top deck Vile Feast, and we win the video game. An insane top deck, for sure. I think we likely would have been able to do a lot of damage anyway. Especially since they didn't play Nautilus last turn. It implied to me that they may not have had Nautilus. They could have had, like, Maokai and stuff, which would have been troubling because of the sapling. But I felt pretty good about that. And then we play Silver Action versus Deep. And I definitely remember one of the key moments from this game, because I thought it was really cool when it happened. Again, we've got the attack token on 4, so keeping Siva, especially against a deck that struggles to kill her, is really powerful. They're not running Jewel Hunters, so they really struggle killing Siva without Jewel Hunters. And we've got a fantastic 1-2-3, right? 1-2, and then banking mana on our 3 and playing a 4. Like, this is a fantastic early game. Now, they can play Heavy Metal on Akshan, and there's an argument to not play Akshan so that we can avoid Heavy Metal, but shall we just play this? We attack. We've got the right, another reason not to play the Treasure Hunter is, sorry, the Treasure Seeker, would be so that we could attack here, but I decided to play Treasure Seeker anyway. We got the Bloodletters, which is great. We played the Bloodletters on the 2-1 to get the Dark Enthrall. We don't really want to block with Akshan, and we will be attacking with the 2-1 anyway to get the damage through next turn, and do some cool Bloodletter stuff. And we definitely might. This really is just me, like, berating words at you and hoping that they stick, right? I don't think I'm particularly thoughtful in my, like, language at the moment. But we definitely might want Zalani and to be able to do some damage in the mid-game, like the turn just before they go deep, was my thinking here. Especially with double concerted, like the capacity to do overwhelm damage with Zalani might be really powerful here. They do an attack here, which I completely disagree with, because this is an amazing block for us, because it means they can't go deep very quickly. They could have easily just attacked with the 2-1s. And I think they play Vile Feast here, but we have the Sharp Side, which feels great for us, right? And I think what they wanted to do was us to, like, Shapestone block with Akshan, and then they get, like, a Vile Feast up, and they really, like, show us who's boss. But this is fantastic for us. Like, we lose our unit, but we kill their Sea Scarab, and we get our Zalani hard back and the Dark Enthrall to be able to do some, like, Dark Enthrall beatdown stuff if we really want. But we're going to play Siva here and start pushing some damage in. Akshan is great, allows us to play Grappling Hook if we really want, based on the Bloodletters. Or if they kill Akshan, we can just replay Akshan, which is great if they've got, like, Undergrowth here. They play Jettison. They lose a Vengeance, an Atro, and a Heavy Metal, which is great for us. Absolutely fantastic. And then they do their second Undergrowth. And they lose another Heavy Metal, as well as the Elusive Fish and Lure of the Depths. I don't attack with the 1-1 here because I really want to use it for Solani, right? Because to me it seems pretty likely that we're going to do Akshan on 5, Solani on 6, hold up 3 mana just in case. And so keeping the Dark Enthrall seemed really important to me. I remember how this turn goes. They play Sea Scarab, and we play Akshan. And if you know anything about Pixelet, they really like to attack with their Dredges and Sea Scarabs. Now they're at 17 cards left in deck. They need to toss twice in order to go deep. They've played a Jettison, and they've played both of their Undergrowths. So to be able to go deep here, they would need another Jettison. Or lose some of their units. So they could Glimpse Beyond, but they can Vile Feast their own unit. However, I decide to play the odds. If they can buff up the Sea Scarab with the Jettison, Siva may have a hard time attacking through. If I do this, you can see the Sea Scarab levels. But what I realize is that I can block the Sea Scarab with Siva favorably. And they struggle to kill Siva because, again, their deck doesn't run that many pieces of interaction, especially since they lost both of their Heavy Metals. I realize I can do this, and get a favorable trade with action. But if they've got Glimpse Beyond, it's pretty scary for us to do something like this. But we do also need to remove their units so that we can do damage with our physical units and not just like overwhelm units. This ends up being a really interesting decision where we decide how much we want to play around stuff and what our odds are, right? I think we can make this. So we've got the option to like not do this, and if they've got Jettison, we feel a bit awkward. If they've got Glimpse Beyond, we also feel a bit awkward, although the action trade still goes through. And we would just have to force ourselves to do Shapestone to kill the Sea Scarab at the final second. But if this goes through, this puts us in a really commanding position because we will need to be doing damage to their units pretty regularly. Right, like we will need to be going through their chump blockers, and letting them lose their Spiderling, which is one of their premium chump blockers, is really good for us. And this goes through, and I'm pretty happy with this. This was really good for us. They go deep, but we're okay with that, and we've got the Shapestone back up when they inevitably play their fish, and we attack into that. What's also good, and I forgot to mention, is that we get our landmark this turn when we play the Bloodletters. Now we could have played the Ruin Runner, but the Bloodletter Zilani is really, really large, and that's important against deep, that the unit is large. If they play the Obliterate Fish, we can Shapestone, and the Zilani stays alive through that trade, which is important, I think. Look, Obliterate Fish. We lose our Devourer. Sorry, we lose our action due to the Devour skill. But we play Waking Sands, we play the 5/2, and we're feeling pretty good. And this is what I meant about like removing that Spiderling, right? Like I wanted to do the double Waking Sands here because we have Shapestone. Like the mana just worked out perfectly if we wanted to do double charger and this. Also allows us to put quick attack on the Zilani. Now because we've got the Shapestone, there's an argument to try and bait them into like bait blocking with the thing, the Devourer. Like, haha, you thought you could kill Zilani, and then we play Shapestone and then they can't. But I think getting Devourer off the field, this is also like pretty good for us. Getting Devourer off the field is great. Or if they block with the Dredge Treasure because we didn't bait them, like we're pushing Overwhelm damage in, that's pretty like sizable, right? Especially since we've already got the 5/2 attacking. Like that would be 11 damage. And 11 damage is a really hard spot for them to be justified in because we still have that overwhelm threat in actuality. Now the Devour Fish dying is phenomenal for us, so we're putting them in a fork. Either they have to lose the Devour Fish or they go down to like 4 HP. And then blocking with the Devour Fish makes us feel really, really happy about our position, even if they're a little bit healthier, because they're able to do that trade with the Devour Fish. But again, we do the Sivir level up. Mid-combat to give quick attack something, and I know there's at least one big fan of that in the section of the comments, according to the comments that I received. Now what's really cool is if you look at the damage of our units and the health of a Nautilus, you might notice something really cool, and I'm pointing that out for you in-game. I'm even directing it to you with my mouse. If they play Nautilus, we can Shapestone plus Concerted. Oh, looky here, a Nautilus. I ask myself if I want to do this play. There are other plays that may be better, right? Like we've got a Ruin Runner here. Like we can develop units and go wide, right? Developing units and doing that can be more valuable, but it doesn't play around Nautilus's Riptide, which is important to be thinking about. In addition, it doesn't play around Sea Scarab, because Sea Scarab now costs 4 less mana. I don't think they had played Allure of the Depths, so it's literally just Sea Scarab. But I think this is a really good opportunity to take the Shapestone Concerted, and because we got the second Concerted, I think that we're able to develop units next turn and still Concerted afterwards, right? Like we've got enough mana to play Ruin Runner Concerted next turn. Right, so even if they play something like the Devour Fish next turn, or like a Maokai or something, we've still got like a really good hand in order to deal with whatever things they could be trying to develop the next turn. And they surrender. They don't have Vengeance, they don't have Riptide or anything in hand. And that's a 2-0 against Pixelet. Yeah. So I end up going 9-1 in Aegis, which is a great record. It is maybe one of the best records in the history of records, maybe ever. I say good game. Yeah, that's the end of my solo Aegis stuff for the group stages. We still have the group set, but because this happened a few days after, and we already knew how the bracket ended up going out, we already knew we had won. In fact, we'd already won this set because Morpiece and Fake Hero both beat Pixelet's teammate. So we 3-0'd that team in general. I think I forgot to mention what happened to JDGG. I'm pretty sure we beat them. It might have been 2-1. But yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.